Hi, it's Joe Mazumdar of Exploration Insights. I'm at the Metals Investment Forum, the September Metals Investment Forum, the virtual one, with Redstar Gold's CEO and Director, Charles Funk. Charles, thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Joe. Thank you for having me.
Like Redstar Gold, I've met with management previously, over almost 10 years. What's happened that spurred your involvement in Redstar Gold, and what's transformed it over the last several months?
Yeah, as we've discussed and we'll talk about today, Redstar Gold is undergoing a fundamental transformation. And I'll step back a little bit to explain that. I started a private company with some colleagues early last year, specifically looking for quality exploration projects. We built a portfolio of projects in Mexico late last year and early this year, but we were after a high quality advanced gold project that we thought could grow into something bigger. And we looked at a number of things that for different reasons didn't make it. But when we started talking to Redstar about the Unga asset, it became clear that our private company, Heliodor and Redstar, had complementary needs in that we were after a quality advanced project and they were after a rejuvenation or maybe a kickstart to show what Unga could be. So a couple of weeks ago, the acquisition of Heliodor by Redstar closed. And by the end of September, we'll have a new share structure. We are fully funded now, and we'll have a name change to Heliostar Metals.
Right, and I saw that you just changed some of the directors. You're being introduced as a director. William Lamb, the ex-CEO of Lucara, I believe.
That's right, yes.
Yeah, and also someone we both know, Alan Wilson, who used to be the chief geo of Antofagasta Minerals, as well as joining your board.
Yeah, so I've come across as the CEO, so it's now been a couple of weeks in that role. And I think going forward, we have a really good board with a strong financial mix with Jacques Vaillancourt and George Island in particular, and then Ken Booth and Alan and William joining on the technical side. I think we have a really good balanced, really high pedigree board now.
So, I'm just curious for me in terms of just looking at, because you've looked at all these assets, you're looking for a flagship asset to bring into your Heliodor. How did you look at it in terms of, what were the priorities? Jurisdiction, grade, something that already was tested and not grassroots? Like, how did you look at it in terms of prioritizing and then ending up with the Unga project?
Yeah, an old boss I used to have at Newcrest used to say that, if you don't have exploration upside, you shouldn't do the deal because you pay full value for ounces or tons that are in the ground on known commodities, and that comes straight off your margin, whereas you pay nothing or next to nothing for upside. So I first came across this when I was with Newcrest about 10 years ago. And so I always knew in the back of my mind, I think you talk to a lot of people, yourself included, everyone sort of knew this was a good project. But we wanted to see a pathway to 1 to 2 million ounces and a good margin resource wherever that was, and likely North America, but we would have also entertained other jurisdictions depending on the quality of the project.
So Alaska as a jurisdiction, so, I own shares and I've interviewed before Trilogy, and then we've had the recent news with Northern Dynasty, on again, off again, and now they got the permit, an important permit, and now what's happening is, apparently some NGOs are now disputing it, or locals. I'm not sure, but so what's it like in terms of attracting investors into a jurisdiction like Alaska right now? Is that like, do you get a premium for it, or is it discounted? How is it looked at?
Good question. I think, Alaska is a big state. People misunderstand how big Alaska is. And it's like if you're talking about Canada, the US, or Mexico, there's a lot of different regions, and an area in one region doesn't necessarily affect the other. So the surprising thing to most people about the Unga project is it's in the Aleutian Island chain. So it's not a mainland Alaska project like most people are familiar. It doesn't have the seasonality issues. We can work 9 months of the year. Ultimately, we can probably work 12 pretty comfortably. It's actually further south than the Golden Triangle in BC, which surprises a lot of people. So We've got two strong relationships with the two First Nation bands, the Unga and the Shumigan band, that cover our project. In fact, we've just signed a 3-year access agreement with the Unga. The Apollo mine was Alaska's first underground gold mine that's on the project. So it's all about our relationships with the local groups that will ultimately affect our ability to develop this. And so we're building a strong relationship with the Unga and the Shumigan.
Yeah, I noticed that with Trilogy as well. Building that relationship with Nana was fundamental in terms of not only moving forward on the state or federal side, but also to keep the NGOs at bay because the locals wanted the project. So just quickly, like, what is Unga? Like, why is it attractive in terms of a potential deposit that could potentially host 1 to 2 million ounces that I believe predominantly would be underground?
Correct. So it's a very large land package on two islands, on Unga Island and Popov Island. Geologically, and I'll be very brief, it's one of the biggest lithocaps that I've stood on, at least over, on Unga it's 10 by 13 Ks and another 5 by 5 Ks on Popov Island. And to translate that into real speak, that means prospective area to hold mineralisation. There's a resource of 400,000 ounces, give or take, at 13.8 grams gold already. And so there's a series of veins that cross it that have very high grade, very good widths. And for example, the deepest hole in Sh1 is just short of 24 meters, it's just short of 5 meters at 24 grams. And it's never been followed up underneath. So a combination of excellent pedigree in a big district with nice wide gold veins that just need a systematic exploration program.
Well, that's what I was noticed about Red Star was they never really hit it very hard. But now you've just raised, significant funds and are drilling. Is that correct?
Yeah, so we've had the first shipload which dropped off the camp, and a drill rig is there this week. So we'll be drilling in the next couple of days, and the second 2 drill rigs will arrive next week. So as part of the acquisition of Heliodor, Redstar raised $7 million. So today we have just short of $10 million worth of cash and short-term investments in the bank. And our plan is to do a between 8,000 and 9,000 metre drill program in the next couple of months. And that's on 4 main targets. The main resource that I talked about that is a combination of things. It's very widely space drilled, 100 to 200 metre spacing on the drill holes outside of the core area. And that's just too wide for an epithermal vein. So we want to infill on those and show that they extend to depth, which it looks like it does in the current drilling. Then the old Apollo mine, which was, as I said, Alaska's first underground gold mine. The old timers mined it down in the high grade gold, approximately 150,000 ounces of production at 10 grams. And it starts to become silver-based metal rich at depth. It's an intermediate sulfidation vein. They show good widths and good grades, but no one's ever followed that up since 1922. So we'll go back there. And then Aquila and Centennial are 2 targets that we'll talk about a bit more in the presentation that I give later today. But they're excellent exploration targets. So we'll be drilling quite intensively to show that this has a lot bigger scale potential than maybe is currently recognised.
And with all the financings that we're seeing and all the activity, it's not easy to get a drill rig, is it?
No, things have really started to pick up in Canada and in Alaska. So you mentioned the Nana Corporation before. One of the things that comes from having good relationships, in that case with the Red Dog mine that Teck has in Nana Corporation's land, they've developed a drilling company. So the Nana Corporation, we're going to be drilling for Trilogy this year.
Yeah.
But a combination of, I think, some precaution around COVID has minimised that program. So we were fortunate that 3 rigs came available through one of Nana Corporation subsidiaries, and we're drilling with those. So a bit of good luck, a bit of good management to get hold of those rigs.
So you have 3 rigs? You'll have 3? Is that
correct?
Right?
By next week, we'll have 3 rigs on site.
So how long will you be drilling until?
So we'll be drilling on the current plan until early November. We could extend that until as late as the end of November, depending on the results and how efficient we are with our program.
And with the assay turnaround, again, for the same reasons that a lot of people are working, what do you think? You'll have results until maybe February next year.
Yeah, I think two things. One is we'll have consistent news flow from probably mid to late October onwards, all the way through till we could restart again next year. But the other thing that the acquisition of Heliodor did was bring in some high quality but earlier stage projects in Mexico. And
Yeah.
so we'll have results from those as well. So it'll be continuous news flow. It's not going to be a company that has 6 months of activity and then you can ignore for 6 months. We'll be a busy company throughout the whole period.
So just getting on to Mexico, Mexico wasn't a priority for me with my investment in Redstar, but we just heard, like I think it was last week or something, Silvercrest did a deal with a local vendor to purchase an asset called Picacho, and their claims basically envelop one of your projects in Mexico.
Yeah, as whilst Unga is our flagship project and it'll see the bulk of our exploration. But at Heliodor, we were looking for just good quality opportunities, and we knew northern Mexico is a part of the world that has always been held up by copper companies. But recently, people have appreciated the precious metals prospectivity of the area, and you see that with First Majestic, with Silvercrest, Santa Elena, Mercedes mine that Premier Gold have. There's a number of 1 to 3 million ounce ore bodies there that are either in production or being advanced. And obviously Silvercrest is the flag waving leader of those with the grades that they've got at Las Chispas. So we went and put together some early stage projects that we think are really attractive. Also Negro, we bought early this year, has extremely high grades, up to 3 kilos silver, up to 100 grams gold on surface, never been drilled. And then another one that was a district that I was trying to put together was the Kumaro project. And as you said, that is a key claim in the middle of the ground that Silvercrest has just purchased. And Silvercrest has a reputation for, they found Santa Elena, built it, and then they got Las Chispas, and they kept that. And so I think there's a sense that maybe they think their next win is Picacho, and the veins on Picacho that they've picked up trend directly onto our property. In fact, the old Yamana drilling goes right to our property boundaries. So I would love to have the whole district, but I'm very happy to have Kumaro because it's an exciting epithermal belt that Silvercrest have picked up the bulk of, and we have the rest.
Okay, I mean, so just to wrap up, so if somebody was looking at Redstar Gold as an investment, I mean, what could they look forward to, let's say, in the next 6 to 12 months with respect to news flow and funded, I gather?
Yeah, so the main thing that you're investing in Redstar, or it'll soon be Heliostar, once the AGM on September the 29th has approved the name change and the 15-to-1 rollback. So you'll be investing in a company with high-grade gold and silver projects led by Unga, tight share structure, well-funded. We'll have the 3 drill rigs turning at Unga this year, and then at the end of the year, we'll pivot down to exploration at Mexico. So you'll see a lot of discovery news flow on some very exciting projects.
Okay, great. Thanks very much. Okay, Charles, and we look forward to your presentation, and thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Joe.
Okay, it's Joe Mazumdar, Exploration Insights at the Metal Investment Forum, the virtual one, in September. Thank you very much for joining us.